What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Stumbling Through the Multiverse podcast. I am happy to be here. We're live in effect with the second season going strong. I am your co-host, Rain Coleman, the CarefreeBlackNerd. First time to all of this, and for you new listeners and new viewers, I have the goat of the sci-fi genre as the co-host who has put me on to yet another masterpiece. What's up, Robert?
What's going on, man? What's going on? How's everything? How are you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Just slid from a world where I had the day off. So I'm good. I'm good.
Love it. Always trying to go back, right? The weekend world.
Yes. World. That's what I need. Heck yes. Oh, what's going on?
Not much. So one of the things I did want to start off by saying, I don't know how you say, I guess it's happy belated anniversary.
Yeah.
To Sliders. So happy belated. Apparently the show premiered on March 22nd, 30 years ago. So I guess that would have been Saturday. And like I said, we were saying off camera, it's like I just to show how great a Sliders fan I am. I look on Instagram and I see a bunch of like notices from other Sliders fan pages. Say this is 30th anniversary. I was like, oh shit, I'm old. So, but it was cool. It was good seeing people showing appreciation for the show,
yes.
And it made me realize just like how long it's been.
Yeah.
And we keep bringing this up, but how long it's been since they've decided to do like a reboot or with something with it. So happy anniversary to Sliders. And I was going to say, here's a many more.
No, truly. For those of you who are into the Zodiac, I'm not. I just know what my Zodiac sign is. Sliders is an Aries. So,
okay.
And right at the start of Aries, I think Aries starts March 21st through April 19th. So,
okay.
Hey, Zodiacs.
What's your Zodiac sign, Sliders?
Yes.
Actually, we can't play the music. We might get copyright.
That's why the intro looks different than what I showed you when we started it years ago. I was like, God damn, they took that down quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just get my little voiceover. Something I want to address. I was editing these last couple episodes. Those of you watching, I am not disinterested in what Robert is saying. I'm quite literally looking off camera at the episode. I'm thinking I'm discreet. I'm like, yeah. And it's like 5 minutes of this. And it's like, okay. So I don't know if anyone had that concern, but I'm literally watching from my phone. So Jesus Christ.
I love it.
Oh my God. So let's go bring more attention to it now. Hell. Living in my truth, y'all. Okay. We're here. We're sliding, get used to it. So we're in season 2, episode 3, Gillian of the Spirits. In this episode, Quinn turns to a young girl with psychic powers for help when he is separated from the other Sliders on an eerie astral plane. This description adequately kind of gets to the point of why I do not read the descriptions before, because I want to go in completely blind.
Yeah.
Because in the 90s, I think maybe with the like preview channel, man, they would kind of show a little bit of a description, but you wouldn't really get a description unless you went looking for it on like a forum or something, I'm sure. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I can tell you right up front, initially, like the first 3 minutes, I hated this episode. Like, hated it. But clearly that turned around for me. But that's my initial thoughts is I was like, what the fuck are they doing? That's what I
They
had.
going back to the wackiness, you know, I keep saying this, like, this is what I'm asking for. And um I'll say, well, okay, so let me give your initial thoughts. Was that it? Like, or what were your initial thoughts after you?
So I'm torn. So okay, all in all, initial thoughts was like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Because I think sometimes we get a throwaway world that doesn't make any sense. But the more this episode progressed, the more my anger and frustration from the start was now being like, I feel like this episode did a really good job at kind of pulling the wool over my eyes. And so though I still have some annoyance, it's so minor by the time I get to the end credits. Even, and I'm gonna just say it and stand on it, even with the professor, and you know, I hate that man. Even with him, I was like, but I'll leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay. So my initial thoughts, it's I actually, this has turned into, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episode, and I don't think, like, because like I said, I've seen this previously. But this is one of those episodes that I couldn't remember as well until I saw the opening, right? So when I saw the title, I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. But as I was watching it, I was like, this is strangely becoming one of my favorite Sliders episodes.
Okay, I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. It's just like, it was weird because I was like, there's something, and this kind of reminds me of the episode The Last Days, where it's just like a compact episode with, no crazy shenanigans, just like, for some reason the way this is paced, just like that, was very good. And I like the character work. We didn't have a throwaway side character in this one. You had somebody that you actually cared about, right? And so I don't think, like, coming into this, I was like, okay, this might be, kind of a one-off filler episode. But by the end of it, I was like, my damn, this is actually I didn't expect for this to be as like solid as it is. And to be honest with you, this is just good sci-fi, or just good storytelling. And it was fun. So yeah, there were definitely some things, but initial thoughts, I mean, before we go through the review, I enjoyed this a lot. And I wasn't expecting that, so we can jump right into it. So strangely enough, Rembrandt gave me the name of this world in the episode. He called it Rain World. He actually called it Rain World. So shout out to Rembrandt for doing my work. Because I think I put like Rainforest Planet. It was just like, he said Rain World. So we see Sliders. They're dressed in rain jackets with hats. And it's, they're going through the forest, and it's raining, and it's lightning, thundering, and all of that. And they only got, like, I guess maybe like a minute or two until the next slide. So it's funny because so they open the portal, they're having conversations back and forth. Professor has a timer. So one of the things that I'm noticing now in the second season is that they share in the responsibility of this. Maybe if I missed it in the first season, I don't know, but I know, like, in this one, Wade has had it one episode, the professor has had it one episode, and in this episode, so hopefully I think this is going to be a thing going forward where it's just not on Quinn. So they open up the portal. I think Wade and Remy, they go in, not holding hands, but I can't remember the order. But then the professor goes in. He tells Quinn to go in before him, and Quinn's like, no, you go. And then when Quinn goes in, a lightning strike hits the portal. So it is what it is. So you see them slide, and we cut to a beach. It's like it's just a beach, and the sun is out, all the good stuff. Wade, the professor, and Remy are looking for Quinn. They don't see him. They keep yelling for him, and as they were yelling, it sounds like they keep getting angry. Like they're like, "Why are you playing jokes?" Like it seems like they are very. I mean, they're concerned, but to me, it sounds as if there's a little like anger or frustration in their voice. I was like, has Quinn done this before, where he's just like, "I hide from you guys"?
Never.
But then you see Quinn pop up, and he's like, "Hey guys, you can't, hey, I'm here." And he gets closer, and then Wade walks right through him, right through his body, and that's when we cut to the commercials. So that's so. With this being the opening that frustrated you at first, like what was going through your mind about this?
So it was I was frustrated at the very beginning because again, I do not understand why y'all don't hold hands, why you don't all jump together. Why do you shoot the freaking portal 7 feet in front of you if now it's established that the portal stay open for 60 seconds? I'm like, David,
we gonna visit that.
That makes me so mad. But with that, I think my frustration started when they started jumping, and Quinn was like, "No, you go." And I understand like wanting to protect each other, but sometimes it just feels really silly that y'all arguing about who's going in, and like we're all really right here. Let's go. But I understand we needed that lightning to hit Quinn, but it could have just easily been the professor jumped and he's like, "Quinn, come on, you're right behind me." Like that's it. But once they got to the world, I think they did a really good job at having people call for Quinn, having Quinn answer, and before you realize what's going on, it did look like they heard him and was responding to him. So that was my first indication that, okay, this is clearly some stuff that I don't know about. And so I've enjoyed that. My question was, while watching this, and I didn't look it up, Ghost and what is the other movie? I was thinking like, what is the movie with the black man who gets hit by the bus, but he doesn't get hit by the bus goes through? Is that Ghost?
Ghost Dad?
Is that it? He's black, right?
With the comedian We Shall Not Name?
I think so. But I'm only asking because okay. I'm glad you remember who that was because in my mind I was like, not Richard Pryor. Yes, that is because that when she walked through his body, I know that was just a 90s trick, but that scene of him getting hit by the bus was the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, I wonder what year that came out in relation to like this particular episode. And it looks like
that's a good question.
1990.
I think earlier.
Yeah, and Ghost came out in 1990 as well, and this is like 96, 97. So, but I don't know. That's just what was going through my head. All in all, I do think it was a good opening. I am trying to get over the changing of clothes because these Paddington wetsuits, but also the absence of David and his wife. It was like,
that's another thing that what's funny about that is there were a couple of instances in this episode where they touched on the lore of this world, of this universe, but they said, screw that lore with the van and these two people from the previous episode. Right. So yes, we have yet another episode of people getting left on another planet, another world. So
I'm assuming they're dead. If anybody jumps worlds with them and they don't show up again, my assumption is that they died. These are 4 murderers. So
taking people to random worlds. I always think that maybe like a comic book issue would have helped to answer that, and maybe there is. I know there are Sliders comic books. Who knows? But so we come back after. Well, it's not the commercial because it's 2025. After the break, and just like with John Cena, we can't see him. We can't see him. Rest in peace, good John Cena. So you haven't been watching, like he turned heel. He turned heel. It's crazy.
Lord.
Yeah. So Quinn, one of the things, and you were mentioning Ghost, we start to see Quinn experiencing what it's like to be in the state that he's in. And so he tries to pick up a rock, and his hand goes through it. So, shows that he's intangible. Is that, yeah, whatever. So he
Mhm.
can't, like, I what I started thinking, like the nerd in me was like, so why doesn't he just continue to fall through the ground? But it is what it is. But that's the point. Like, he can't touch anything. Nobody can hear him and nobody can see him. So, the professor, references, this is like, I think the first one, where he says that Quinn has probably slid to a different part of the city before. So he doesn't say like, the hippie world, but you know what he's talking about. So I'm like, okay, at least the writers are trying, right? Wade is concerned. She's overly concerned, I think rightly so. The professor and Remy are, well, I think Wade is really concerned, Remy is concerned, and professor is just like, it's science. But he's trying to keep a level head. I'll give him that much. The other thing that they notice is that the timer's not working because it more likely was short circuited when it got hit by lightning. So they decide to head into town, to head to the Hotel Dominion, which I mentioned is going to be like their meetup point, or point of reference for this world. And so when they go into the town, the thing that you notice is that everything has this like 1950s type of vibe to it. They're older cars. People are dressed from that as if they're in that time period. And I think also you see police officers who are, they have the uniforms of that period. The other thing that I noticed is that it's gonna irritate me because there's one thing in particular I wanted to point out, but I'll skip that. But one of the things that they see is, it reminds me of when, like, from Back to the Future, when Marty walked into Hill Valley of the 1950s. So the other thing is that they obviously aren't like in the city part of Vancouver or their normal location, and this is more of like a smaller town type of vibe. So Wade sees a sign for something like transistor tubes, and she asked the professor, like, refresh my memory, and he was saying that's what preceded television. It's right after the radio and before the TVs that you know of. So they decide. So the other thing is Quinn is actually following them, but he's walking through people, not like literally, but nobody sees him. Like, none of the people of this world. So he's just trying to keep them kind of in his field of vision. And the professor decides to look, they don't see a payphone, so he asks a cop for a payphone. And when the police officer sees his watch, and I think the professor looks at his watch for some reason or whatever, but the police officer starts to lose his shit. Like, he's like, what is that? And the professor is like, it's a fucking watch. He doesn't say that, but he's, but it looks digital, right? It's not an old antique watch. It's not an older one. So you can see the digital front with the numbers and everything. And so the police officer is just like, where'd you get that from? He's asking all these questions. And even Remy is just like, yo, this is just a watch. So, and I like this part because it's like world building in a you remember, like, we always talk about this, as soon as there's a chance that you will fuck up if you say the wrong thing or if you show the wrong thing. So the cop explains that it's a legal material for him to have, like, anything that is advanced technology or like that goes beyond the technology of like something like a transistor. And he says it's like much better in a really good way. But so what happens is I guess he's a mounted police officer. His horse is off to the side, and Quinn notices, I guess, that the horse sees him, so apparently, like, and I think it's something that we even have in our world, like, pets are able to see, supernatural, things that are on a different plane. So the horse sees him, he scares the horse. The guy wants to arrest these three people, and then the horse gets away, and then he has to run after the horse, and then the sliders are like, you ain't gotta tell me twice. And they're like, let's go to the hotel. So when they get to the hotel, the phone book, there's no mention. One thing that the professor sees is there's no mention of electronics in the phone book. So it like literally skips over that. And they're still trying to figure out like what's up with this world. The concierge or the guy behind the counter is Will Sasso, so they brought him back, to play the role again, and
Yes.
I love it. And one of the things that he mentions is that, do you want to get me in trouble? I think they ask him questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, do you want to get me in trouble with the Bureau of Anti-Technology? And they look at him like, you just said 2 + 2 is 800. So they still don't understand. But one of the things that they realize is that if there's no technology or electronics that they can find like easily, there's a good chance that they won't be able to fix the timer. So I know that's a lot. So any thoughts about any of that?
These people are pissing me off.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to remove my nerd continuity sensibilities and only focus on, this is a show from the 90s that came out week to week. So there has to be a level of like resetting so that you can just jump in and enjoy it at any episode. But the fact that they do things again and don't, like the watch thing, I can't get mad at that, because who would know that a watch is messed up? But the professor is so hot-headed and passionate that you are at the concierge desk at a hotel and you know that electronics are banned, and you're like, hey, where's the computer store? Oh, so this is like, our own American history shows that you can't just, like, when you're under a police state or you're under some sort of dictatorship rule, there's certain things you cannot say. I would never, like, it's like that pisses me off, because it's like, oh, you're so smart and yet you're so dumb. But I mean, I can get over that. I thought that whole walk to the city, the horse, all of that was done really well. I thought it was really good. I like that they took off running as soon as this man let them go. I feel like in previous episodes, it may not have been that cut and dry, but I'm also thinking like, that police officer was all of 130 pounds. Either one of them could have knocked that motherfucker out. Like, what do you mean? And are you taking me in by horse? There was a car. I was like, the professor, this the time to act. Y'all have committed crimes before. Y'all fought in a courtroom. Like, what? Knock this motherfucker down and keep moving. But I digress. All in all, I did enjoy this, and seeing Will again, I smiled. I had to rewind this up with this scene because I wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh, he's back. Look at this. But I just think these people are not cautious enough. And it's more than likely just the writing in the 90s. But I'm like, every world is something. Y'all tighten up. Like, there's a lady, it may be a later scene where she's sitting in the lobby. She doesn't matter at all. But I'm like, after that last episode, motherfuckers just sitting in the lobby.
He's just
I'm nervous now.
Somebody's spying on them every time they go to the hotel.
I'm like, y'all gotta switch it up. Go to the Ritz or the Motel 6 or something, because this ain't it. But I don't know. I enjoyed this portion of the episode.
Nice. Okay. I love that it's just like, your solution for it is just like, knock these motherfuckers out. You're not on this on this world for too long. Before I forget, the one thing that they did mention is, since the timer is broken, or the sliding device, they don't have a timer, so it's not counting down. So they can't see the countdown, so they don't know how long they have in the world. So one of the things that Remy mentions is, he says that if the police are locking up people for having technology or studying technology or whatever, he recommends, he's like, the two people that you would want to, like, basically they're like dissenters. They might be kind of seen as being like a protest movement. He said like two of the places that you can go to find those sources might be a lawyer, because they get locked up, or the church, because some churches do support social movements or change. So the professor was like, that's actually a really good idea, and he says, let's go to church. They decide to head to a local church to see if maybe there's information they can find that'll lead them to people who have the technology that they need. So I thought that was actually a nice little add-in. So we see them at a church. I guess it's like a Catholic church.
Okay, I was going to ask you that because I said,
Yeah.
yeah, this don't. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a Catholic church, but anybody who watches the episode who has a better idea, know how of that. Sorry about my camera shaking.
Hey, you just sliding. That's cool.
Yeah, just sliding. But so they get to the church, and then we see, like I said, the whole time the Quinn is still there with them. So he goes to church, and then they show them walk in, and Quinn stays at the back, and because one thing that he does notice is there's a lady. She's not a girl. She's actually probably in her 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
But she can see him. She looks up, and he does kind of a double take, and then she turns around, and she's there with an older lady, and her name, and this is Gillian and her mom. And when she sees him, Quinn is just like, "Can you see me?" And she says, "Go away." And she's like, "I don't want to. I don't." He tells him to leave her alone. They actually get kind of a little bit louder, and because I think she mentions at that point that she doesn't want to be accused of like hearing voices or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she runs out of the church, and he's like chasing her. And he's like chasing her. So Quinn explains to her, like when they get outside, she's just like, she's just done. And he explains to her that he explained he's on the astral plane, and I think that might be the first mention of this that we get. Mm-hmm. He asks her, she's like, "I don't want nothing to do with you," and he says, "Okay, just do me one favor, and I won't mess with you. I won't talk to you after this. I promise you." And that gets broken. But he says, "Can you take a note to my friends?" And she's like, "If you do this, if I do this for you, will you let me be?" And he's like, "Yeah, yep." And his fingers are probably crossed behind his back. So they cut back to the services ended. The sliders are wanting to talk to the priest, and apparently, like the clergy or on this world are like seen as, they said something like rock stars, because people are there like getting his autograph. So it's like a lot of people. And as they're standing there, Gillian walks in, gives him a note, and he's like, "I'm done with this." It's just a note from Quinn explaining his predicament, explaining kind of what's happened. And so Remy is the second person to chase this woman down.
Big black man.
Yeah, like, and so she's so as Remy's like, "How did you get this note?" And she says, "Your friend gave it to me." And then she like looks off to the side, and you don't see Quinn there, so this is like one of those shots where they don't show him. And she says, and by this point Wade and Arturo have kind of moved up or joined the group, and she says that I guess to prove, Quinn tells her that he saw us neck. She says that you saw us necking in the basement, and you walked in, something like that. We were necking in the basement. Y'all were necking in the basement, and you walked in. So at first, Remy is just like, he's confused.
Yeah.
And the professor, I think, has kind of a knowing look or whatever. I don't know if Wade does, but then she says, "No, you, professor." And so once again, this is your lore building, because we're going back to the last days when, I'm sorry, kids, necking was kissing, I guess, whatever. Yeah, because like it was this thing of like, I guess that was her 50s aesthetic of like, what if she said, "You guys, we went for a car ride or some shit," whatever. But yeah, so they're going back to when Quinn and Wade were kissing. So just to prove it. And at this point, her mom shows up, interrupts them. And I guess, the suggestion is her mom knows about her talking to, voices, and then they leave. So the professor explains that this is the Downing motherfucker, like, for life. He explains that maybe on this world, your double, he was talking to Wade, your double and Quinn's double were kissing, and she knows about that. And then Wade is like, okay, let's just say that Quinn is on this astral plane or astral world. And she explains to Remy that it's the next world, next level above our tangible world. So there's a chance that he's there. And if they slide, they feel that maybe Quinn will appear in the next world. Maybe he'll follow them. So Remy, at this point, after they have all this and they were like, okay, Quinn's nearby, he's with us. Remy at this point is like, let me go and talk to the Reverend, and this is where we could get the info dump for this world. And after this, I'll have you jump in. But he explains that Remy tells him the story in like the confessional about sliding. We have yet another person who kind of accepts it, is what it is. The Reverend tells him, because Remy asks, is like, how did the world get like this? And basically he tells him, like, do you know about Hiroshima? And he's like, yeah, in our world it was something that happened. And he explains that the priest explains that after the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, the world saw the evils and the destruction that technology could bring, and they basically went an about face. They did an about face, and it sounds like they got more into faith, which would tie into priests or members of the clergy being seen as rock stars. But then also anything from, I guess, the 1950s, late 40s, early 50s on, they said, fuck it, no more technological advances. So your war did change something. So like technology is frowned down upon in that Bureau of Anti-Technology, BAT for short. They will send people to jail if they show them, trying to create advanced technology or anything like that. So he also gives them the name and the address of a former inmate that he used to counsel in prison. And he's like, if anybody has those, the equipment that you need, he might have it. So so that's how the scene ends. But any thoughts about all of that?
Fuck the professor. God, he annoys the shit out of me. Yeah. He annoys the shit out of me. This is one of them times I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? You mean to tell me you can accept that we've hopped through at least 25 worlds? You can accept that there's versions of yourself as dictators, versions of your old wife, girlfriend you love. There's a psychic who knew about the sun that we didn't know about. But you mean to tell me this random girl telling you details about your friend is some bull? Oh, she's lying? Like, I get being skeptical, but come on, bro. Like, he is the fucking worst. All in all, I did enjoy this scene. I like Gillian more than I expected I would. Again, I didn't even look at the episode title because whenever we watch this and record, I don't watch the next episode until probably like Saturday night, Sunday, and then I will just go backwards and just let it play through like the last 10 minutes of the previous episode. And so when I saw her, one great actress, she did a really good job. Pretty girl, like it, and I say pretty, her, like, not that the looks matter, but like overall, she seemed like a package. Like looking at her, I was like, oh, I don't think I've seen her in anything else in the 90s, which is odd because she's doing a really good job here. The professor really pissed me off. I do like this stretch, this particular scene, and that it may have a lot to do with those movies that I mentioned before. But I like that Quinn was taken off the board in a way that mattered. It wasn't just, oh, they kidnapped him and now he's at the science lab. It's like he was off the board because there's nothing he can do. So you give everybody else some room to shine, even when it's the professor's annoying ass. This episode really, well, I'll save that to the end because there's something that I felt that will probably have to be addressed. Hiroshima. I don't know which one is the right pronunciation.
I think it's either I don't know. I mean, I think I've heard it both ways.
Yeah. Okay. Same.
Yeah.
I am going to put my nerd hat on, and I'm going to declare that this world is the world that the Eternals exist in. Like there's like and follow me here.
Okay.
Brian Tyree Henry had a nervous breakdown after he realized his powers and advancement in technology is was that Pearl? No, it was Hiroshima.
It was Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And so if that priest is talking about we stopped creating shit, that seems like something he would have did. He would have pulled his technology away and no longer gave. And so now the technology we get is based off of fragmented technology we've had before Hiroshima. So I'm confidently saying that this episode is the actual world of the Eternals. It's a variant of that MCU movie. So that was my. I was like, all right, I see you, Brian Tyree. So yes, I'm declaring that. But all in all, this was good. I like Homegirl's mama too. Like that big, what is it, beehive? That's not a beehive. What is that?
It was it's not a bob.
The hairspray thing. I wonder if that translated better in the 90s than it did now. I say that only because fashion has like gone through so many cycles since this show aired. Because to me, I was like, they keep saying 50, so I understand that's where we are. But I was like, some of these looks we've seen, like we've just seen them because fashion is cyclical. So yeah.
But it was fun because I saw a commercial maybe like last week where a lady had kind of the same hairstyle, except it wasn't as poofy, but it was still that like kind of, what do you call it, the severe cut or whatever. Severe severe cut. And I was trying to look up the actress who played Gillian, and it just looks like she stopped. She's more so producing and directing now.
Okay, good for her.
Yeah, she's producing and directing because I don't see much in the way of and she was tall. She's 5'8".
Okay.
Yeah, I mean maybe like height wise, because she stopped acting in looks like 2019.
Oh, well, that's recent. Wait, I thought you were gonna say like 2001. 2019 was like 2 weeks ago.
No, she's apparently. She's done some stuff. So
good for her.
I was glad to see that. So we get back to the group walking, going to the address that the priest gave, and when they get to the house, the guy who opens it up is Quinn's dad. And he's the same actor from the pilot, from the second part of the pilot. So good on the show for calling an actor back. I mean, they were like, whatever about the mom, but the dad, we good. And I'm like, I mean, the mom spent more time with the show. Like, why can't y'all bring her back? So is what it is. So Michael Mallory, he tells basically they go through the whole thing of like just keeping in mind and this and that. And Mallory, the father, explains that he was in jail, I want to say for 5 years. I think he mentioned like 5 years, because of, I guess messing around with technology or whatever, so that is something in keeping with his character from Earth Prime, which is so that I thought that was a creative way to kind of tie it in. But and he says that his son, I think Wade asked, like, how did your son pass? And before he says that, he says what's funny about them telling him the story is that his Quinn would talk about interdimensional travel.
Yeah.
When he was alive. So that's, that always just seems to be a standard with the Quinns. But Wade asked, if you don't mind me asking, how did he pass? And he explains that he died of polio. And, I think because the professor can't read the fucking room, he's just like, on this earth, because of no science, Quinn is dead. You motherfucker. No, he doesn't do all that.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, like, dude, his son is dead. Like, and you add insult into the wound by saying, in our world, we have the science. The science that could have saved your son.
Man.
Damn it. Anyways, so after he says that shit, to let them know that they live on an ass backwards world with no technology. You don't even have streaming TV. Anyways, Michael, Michael says there's a movement that's trying to change things so that they won't, they can have advancements, technological advancements that can help save the world, maybe like in engineering and, things like that. So, but he explains that he does have the tools that might be able to help. And then they're in the basement and he has a hidden compartment where it's just like all of these things that, the professor might be able to use, for to fix the timer. So one thing I will say that I love about this episode is the location. None of this feels, only when they go to the company, or what is this place called? The Bayside Power Company, that it feels like they're in a set. And even then, I don't know how much of a set they're actually in. They might have actually filmed that in a real place, but just the location. And I like this basement. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like how much I like them shooting in Vancouver and different areas around there. But the professor starts using his tools or the material to fix the timer. And it's just not working. One of Quinn is over his shoulder, trying to, give him some, some feedback, and of course they can hear him. And then they cut to this with Remy poking fun at Wade, talking about, he says like, you and Quinn. And she's like, whatever, this type of shit. And, and I like this like interplay, because like Remy's being like, he's just kind of, poking fun at her or whatever. But it goes to show that they didn't even tell him about what had happened. So while this is happening, the professor is trying to fix it. And then he doesn't reverse the polarities or something. I think that's what Quinn says. And it just gets him more upset. So I don't know if this isn't the part. So that's after this part. So Quinn is just like, okay, I got to do something. So we go to Gillian her mom mentioned that she needed to drop her off at work at the diner. So Quinn knows where she's at. Quinn, I guess, walks into the diner. Gillian is, I say Gillian is getting messed with by Quinn, because Quinn is just like, I need your help and all of this. Kind of a Ghost reference, with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg's character. So he says he needs the help, and she says, you lied, you promised me. And she's like, I need your help. So what happens is because we need a Biff Tannen for this episode, this lady walks up and was just like, what's up, special girl? You talk to yourself. That's fucking horrible. You disgust me. And it's just like, I'm like, okay, this is, I don't know. We do have bullies nowadays, but these Biff Tannen likes. But in this case, it's this woman, and they're grown women. Like, why would you, like, that's some shitty stuff to do. But anyway, so there she's making fun of her. She's and then Gillian gets distracted again by Quinn, and I think they step to the back. And as they step to the back, I don't know, do they show her take the money?
No.
Okay, so they don't show her take the money. So that I actually kind of like that. So as her manager comes up, this other lady, and says she sees an empty register, and she's like, Gillian, where's the money? And it's like, there should be over $100 in here. And Gillian's like, I can't lose this job. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh no. And, Quinn walks up, and he sees, like, Becky Tannen sitting down with her friends, like, it's like, she's the girl that talks to herself. That's fucked up. Mental health is crazy, or whatever. And so then he peeks his head into the purse, because they're showing the effect of him being able to phase through things, and he sees the money in there. So he calls to Gillian and says, it's in her purse. And so then Gillian gets about it, and because she's tired of it, she just opens the purse, and all the money falls out. And she says, my mom gave me that money, Becky Tannen. And then the manager is like, I see bullshit. I know bullshit when I see it. And she takes the money, and she's like, well, let's go ask your mom. And so then she takes Becky Tannen to the back, and they, she saved the day, or Quinn saved the day. And because of that, she decides to go. Gillian decides to go with him, and tells her boss, "I'll be back." I'm like, that must be a nice job to just take to just take a break like that. She said, "Can you have somebody watch the front?" I was like, "I didn't see anybody." Well, there was a woman in the back. There was another lady in the back. So whatever. So after that, we go back to the house. Mike's house, and Mike Mallory, and the professor is just not having luck. He's getting pissed. Remy unfortunately says, "I wish Quinn was here." And the professor's like, "What are you saying? Come on, let's throw hands." Like, he is upset. He's saying, whatever. He feels some kind of way. And at that point, that's when the Bureau of Anti-Technology shows up. And the Mike Mallory, they bring him downstairs and they're like, "What's this?" And Mike is like, "Oh, don't take them. They're my friends. That was on me." And so they arrest Mike and take the timer. And as they are arresting them or taking them to wherever they're going, Quinn and Gillian show up and they see him being taken away. So this would be a good point. What are your thoughts about all these these scenes?
Fuck this damn episode. No, the professor, this is when I started to kind of take my biases out of it. Because he was yelling a lot this episode. He was freaking hollering, and everybody got a piece of it. And I was like, ordinarily this would piss me off, but if I'm thinking logically, like if I'm in this situation, I'm one of two people who can kind of sort of fix this, and the one who can certainly fix it is gone. That's enough of a headache. And regardless of what I have to say about them, they're a unit. So I could be mad as hell at you all day long, but I know I'm not jumping without you. So I had to take a step back. And doing that, I was like, I can't get mad at this man. He is frustrated. And he even said, he was like, what did he say? I'm a philosopher. I'm not a, I don't know, physical. He said something else.
Yeah.
But he was pissed. And I was like, ordinarily, I would be mad at him. Like, fuck this dude. But this is real. Like, we don't know how long, we don't know if we've even missed the jump from all the time that we've been here. So this was one of the episodes that I felt like did a really good job of stressing the severity of the situation. Normally it's like, oh, we got a timer, we got 3 days, let's get into some wacky shenanigans. No, this is fucking life or death. And we're on a world where if we're stranded here, what is our quality of life like? We're used to certain creature comforts that could eventually come, but on another world, maybe here, you get your ass beat for having a digital watch. So it's like I understood the frustration. So this is where I stopped being quick to anger with the professor. This is also where Gillian really like sold me. With her arguing with Quinn, I was really pissed off at Quinn, but even then I was like, man, he's in an impossible situation. Homegirl, redhead, which I was like, I'm not a white person, but I feel like attacking a redhead, ain't that punching down in like in like levels and degrees of whiteness? I'm like, don't be, why they got this girl being evil? You ain't had no other blondes who could have been, but I was like, fuck this girl. To your point, when Gillian mentioned her mom, I don't want to say she said her mom, she said they, just in general, tried to have me committed. I don't want people to think I'm hearing voices again. That's when I really fell for her, and I was like, I wish this episode was longer. And I can say that probably for every episode I've liked, but this one in particular, because what does that look like for her? Because I would really like to know what voices was she hearing prior to this, because she never said she saw anybody. They only mention her hearing voices. Like, I would love to get in this episode. To me, was probably the most Power Rangers X-Men ass episode, just like all the shit going on. So I was like, man, Gillian is definitely getting a knock on the door after this. Like, you can come to our school. The father, I will say, I could not remember if that was the same actor. Just because they did switch up the mom, and I knew that wasn't her. So I was a little apprehensive. I was like, man, I don't know. I never felt like I couldn't trust him, which again, that is kudos to the show because I can sniff some shit out without question. But him at that diner scene, I wish we got more scenes with just Quinn, and we got enough. In this episode, but I really like her standing up for herself. I think in any other show or any other episode, I may question how quickly she turned on her heel and was like, "What the fuck you doing?" But then it's also like, even if that's the case, they made this believable enough that I could see her getting in that girl's face. But all in all, I thought this was I like this little run. There's a couple things here, for sure.
So we so now we go to Bayside Power. Wasn't it Bayside High School and
okay. Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. Okay. So Gillian and Quinn pull up and they follow the BAT, the Bureau of Anti-Technology agents with the dad, and then they get out and we see them go into the Bayside Power plant. And then Quinn tells Gillian that he's about to go inside, and so she talks to him, and so obviously the cab driver can't see her, and so then we get this bit of the taxi driver who it sounds like he's talking in this like Russian accent, so I guess it's a callback to the driver from the previous season and from the first episode of this season. But he does the whole bit from Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro where he does, "Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?" Because there's nobody around. But I was like, okay, y'all are some nerds. I love it. Like, you're pop culture nerds. So Quinn goes inside, follows his dad, and the twist is that the father is actually working with Bayside Power, the Bureau of Anti-Technology. Those aren't even they aren't agents. They just work for Bayside Power, and there is I guess like some executive, somebody that the father works with, and it's explained that he works with, first of all, they got him out of prison earlier than they helped him get his release. And as a result, he just sounds like he's just turned snitch for this growing movement of people who want to bring back democratized technology and use it to help the world. And the other thing they mention is that the company is working in Washington to get legislation passed where it'll open the doors for them to introduce technology. But the other thing that they've been doing, I guess, one of the ways they've been doing is with his dad, is collecting and all this like advanced technology, the stuff that's been created by people who are being thrown in jail. So, and once that happens, once they work with Washington to get the doors opened up, then they're going to make a lot of money, right? And so what's even more effed up about this, and at the end of the day, it's a corporate crime. It was funny because like in the first episode of the season, I was just like, the fact that the main bad the main bad guy for this was just doing white collar crime, I accepted more in this one. Because I accepted partly more in this one because of the next thing the guy said. The Mike Mallory is talking to the executive, and he was like, "Tell me about these people." And he's like, "Well, they have this crazy story about, shadow dimensions and this and that." And then the guy's like, "Okay, well, get as much information as you can for them, and then kill them." And I was just like, it was just like shit. And then Mike Mallory just looks. He has this moment of, and then he says, he's like, "Okay." And I was like, shit, man. So I don't even think we get that executive's name, but the way he just kind of says like, dispose of him or whatever. I was like, God. So, and in the room, you do see all of this technology. And when they get the timer, he tells one of the lab technicians, work on it now, but also just leave it for tomorrow. We'll get some some more information about it. So this thing has been eventually it's going to be like in pieces. So we go back to the hotel. Gillian shows up to tell the team or the three sliders because they weren't arrested, so they went back to the hotel. She shows up, and Quinn is telling her now tell them about the scam and about the murder and this and the attempted murder and all of that. And he does tell them where the timer and all this technology is. So he just kind of lays it out because he heard everything. And then the professor, it's like I do empathize with the professor. You see that I empathize with because everything was on his shoulders. But there was shit where he was just like right now where he says, "And how do we do that? Are we a crackpot group of commandos?" And I was just like, "Okay, professor, let's take a minute."
Yeah.
Then Quinn, he says, "Tell him." He says, "Ask him, do you have a better plan?" And I was just like, thank you for clapping back from the astral plane. So it was, anyway, so we, any thoughts about this? Because I think the next scene is a little bit involved.
It's some shit. I hate Quinn's father. Fuck him. Regardless of like any bit of remorse, I was thinking like, if you've been doing this to other people who have come to you, fine. But these are people who clearly know your son. Like you've never seen these people day in your life. And they have details about your son that like people, he's dead. So who would know this stuff? And it'd be like, to even turn them in, like if they just came to you like the reverend sent us here, you can help. But that would be one thing. That's still terrible. But like they're giving you detail. My mom died. If a motherfucker came here and was like, the comic book you drew back when you were in the 7th grade is the only way I can get home. Your mom of our world is such and such. I'm like, okay, well, let's listen to this. I'm not police. Come pick these fools up. They don't know my mom. It's such a weird. And again, I know it's the 90s. I know it's like X amount of minutes. We got to get through this, but some of this is just fucking weird. Like, also they never asked, "Hey, where's Quinn's mom?" I was like, well, she's kind of vital. Like, did she die? This episode pissed me off, not because the episode is bad. The thing that pissed me off about it is y'all are not thinking. If we go through all of this, why are we not now picking up items that could repair the timer if it needs to be repaired again? Like, on average, the worlds we're going to are pretty much like ours with major differences, minor differences, but they at least have not cell phones, but they have phones. They have the 90s technology. Get another microchip. Get another, get stuff. Also, this is a bit of a tangent. Why are we not teaching Wade and Rembrandt how to fix this timer if need be? God forbid Arturo dies. Or Quinn, like just of like natural causes. Then like, what do we do?
And especially Wade, because she has a background, and they keep moving further. They keep moving further and further away from that. Her background in computer technology and computers, and I think we said this before. It would be nice for her to utilize that in some of these episodes, and maybe she does eventually, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it as of yet. I think the thing with his dad, I think the reason I kind of like that is because it's one of those where, and I know people can say that this is a tired trope, but like a lot of the doubles that we've seen so far have been like negative, have been on, but because we haven't spent much time with his dad, and then also I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of like, okay, I'm cool with it. And the other thing is, it gives this, because, like I said, in the first episode of the season, I was just making jokes about the Wizard of Oz and corporate crime, his flunky being like, let's make money. But in this one, it's like, I think of like, after he did his time, his bit of time, like the 5 years, and somebody came to him with this deal, how effed up did he have to be, to be like, well, and maybe his wife left him after, Quinn died, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just like, well, let's make this money.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that pushed me over was like when I guess I had a question about was like when that guy straight up said, let's get rid of him. I was like, oh shit, have you
Yeah.
killed before, Mike? So I think that as long as the characters are done right and we do get these like extremes, for their doubles,
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, let's, that it kind of works for me. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I said, I was just happy that they got the same actor to
Yeah.
come back. So then we go back to the Bayside Power. The professor and Remy break in. There's actually a pretty creative way that the professor breaks in. I suggest people watch it rather
Yes.
than butcher it. And then Remy is like, let's play it cool as they sneak in. And then, the professor's like, who would show be? And the professor, the professor was just having fun this episode.
Yes.
He's like, so then they get upstairs to the door. Remy's like, I can't open. And he was like, can you pick locks? And the professor's like, no. And then he starts like, he says, I can't remember what he says, but then you think it's like something that's very articulate and very refined. And then he just picks up this big ass wrench and breaks open a window to get in. And then they finally get in. And that's when the professor notices that the timer is broken apart. So I think they get the timer. I don't know if they have time to get any technology that will help them.
Well, they get they get the timer, and I think he like grabs additional things, but it's not specified. Like this is going to hit. It's just like put this extra shit in here. Yeah.
Okay, so they do get other technology from the room, and Rembrandt hears one of the security guards getting closer, and the guard actually sees that's what it is. He sees the broken pieces of the glass on the ground. He calls an alert, that there's intruders, and the professor and Rembrandt they get out. It's funny because like there's this image of the professor with his his jacket buttoned up, and he has like the pieces, but he's like all like running down these steps like this. But they cut to commercial, and the suggestion is they've gotten away. So then we go back to the Dominion where Gillian and Quinn are just chilling. In one of the better scenes, actually, and not say better scenes as if the other ones were bad, like in a really good scene, actually, because I like the two of them together. Gillian offer, because they haven't heard back from Remy and the professor by this point, and she offers to help Quinn if they get stuck, so I guess just talking or whatever. But one of the things that she mentions is that she hasn't had a true friend since the revelation of her being able to hear these voices, or maybe see other people, hear other people on the astral plane and all that. And I don't want to say he was smooth talking, but he was just being very supportive to her, and says that you're a good person. This is a gift, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And I was like, shit, if he don't jump, then you better try to find a wife with this 5'8" woman, Canadian.
Yes.
Maybe that's who Rebecca Romaine Stamos is, because I know she's small. that's his Gillian. That's his Gillian. And shout out to Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Man.
But so there's that. Professor and Remy, they get back to the hotel, and they realize that the only place that they can go to repair the timer is not Bayside Power, because they'll get arrested or killed, and so they have to go back to Mike Mallory's house. So they go back to his house and they break in to the house, which I love. They just break a basement window, and so when they get inside, actually before they leave, before they go to Mallory's house, Gillian's mom shows up. That's what it is. She shows up in the lobby, and the professor tries to sweet talk the mom, and the mom is like, I ain't here for this shit. You see this Bob? And the mom says, Gillian is like, I need to help these people. I want to help these people. And she's like, okay, let's go. So that's when they break into the house. They break in windows all over the place, which is amazing. And Gillian is telling the professor the directions through. She's relaying Quinn's directions to the professor. And at one point, the professor needs something like a small conductor, like he's like, does somebody have like a bobby pin? And then the mom gives him like something from her brooch, to show that she's kind of truly accepting, her daughter helping these people, which is a nice moment. So the professor fixes the timer, and it is revealed that they only got 17 seconds in this piece. So talk about, well, apparently they only had 60 seconds to slide, and that thing was like a 5-minute scene.
That's what I'm saying. 17 seconds, nigga.
There's no concept of time in this thing. So it counts because it's a sense of urgency. So at that point, I guess Mike gets home. It's like, shit, all my windows are busted. And he heads downstairs, and he's got a gun. And he's just like, I'm a killer. And he tells him, he's like, give me the timer. And he says, that's when he explains that Bayside Power got him out of jail and why he works with him. And when the portal opens up, the professor is just like, we can take you with, man. Like, you don't have to live here. Your intelligence can be celebrated on another world, and then we just won't bring you back for another episode. I mean, you'll be all right.
He'll be dead.
So this is when Michael sees Quinn. So Quinn is, I think, because he's near to the portal. We don't know the science of this, but because he's near the portal, they can see him now. He's still kind of like transparent or whatever. And he's the one that convinces Quinn, because like Mike is like, he's like losing it now because like, oh shit, this is my son. And Quinn says, can you put the gun down? And he puts the gun down. So the sliders they have to slide. But the thing is because they haven't figured out how to get Quinn through the portal, they're assuming that he's going to have to stay there. And Quinn is assuming that too. So as they go in, Remy says, I love you, man. And, Quinn says, I love you, crying man. The professor promises, he's like, if we find a way, we will try to find a way to come back for you and figure out how to, get you back home or get us back home. And he says, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And then Wade gets the 2-finger kiss, like he kisses his lips with his 2 fingers and puts it to her like transparent or whatever. And then she says, damn you. And then she jumps in. And so Quinn is there standing there thinking like, this is it. The only person I can see him is Gillian, and his dad is still there because now his dad can see him. And then a red vortex opens up on the astral plane. And I was like, is this hell? Is this oh my God. And so what Quinn noticed, he realizes like this is a portal on the astral plane. So he's like, this is the one that I can actually take. And he tells Gillian like, I need to leave. And I don't know if he says take care of my dad or whatever, but he looks.
Tell him
tell him no. You're right. Tell him something like tell him I love him, or tell him I'm leaving. Don't you people or whatever. And his dad is like looking all distraught, but it just is what it is. So he jumps through. We see the sliders on like a residential street, and then we see Quinn stand up, and I think he has slid into a bush or something. And so Remy asks the obligatory question that everybody always asks, is like, are we home? And then you see like this butt-ass naked mailman walk up to this lady's house, and it's done PG-13, right? PG, probably not even PG-13, so you can't see nothing except like his bare chest and her whatever. And Quinn says to the team, like, I'm pretty sure on our earth the mailman wears clothes. So that's how the episode ends. I mean, actually they get a good laugh, and then they walk towards, I guess, San Francisco in what I have deemed naked world. So that's the end of the episode. End of the episode, y'all.
Just a mess. Quinn and Gillian, I really wish they had more of a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, no, I want more, but I think the show did a good job of giving us just enough of them.
Yeah.
they played really well off each other. I think she acted circles around. Well, no, they did well together, but I think she was the superior actor in their scenes.
Yeah.
And it's probably just by nature of her role in this episode. Um, my question with the father was, I understand you're doing this to help out because you're no longer in jail. But do you have like, is there a quota? Is it like you need to bring us 5 I don't know, electronic people every day? And it's like, but you don't have to tell them about the like Quinn's friends aside.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to you, you don't have to turn them in. Like I didn't get the sense that they were like watching him to the like because it felt like people were coming to him by chance. Like even it wasn't like they slid somewhere and then they saw a sign and was like knock 3 times on Michael's door. Like you were referred by a reverend. So like you don't have to give these people up. You are just a shitty person.
Yeah.
So, he's terrible. I don't like that guy. I love Gillian and her mom. The mom didn't say much in this episode, but she said enough. She had the right face for that role. She some of the stuff I could predict just by nature of like watching shows like this, but it was so minor and the show was done so well that even the stuff I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna turn around. Yeah, of course she is. It's a TV show. Even that was really good. I will say this episode, though I know Quinn's going to be here for the rest of the season, I know that at some point he's not going to be here. With that in mind, this episode actually had me nervous that there was going to be no more Quinn. And that to me felt like, oh, this must have been when it was like to watch it for the first time in the night. I think if I was not aware that the Quinn actor was going to change, I probably wouldn't have the same fear or emotional response to this episode. I truly, at the end, before that red portal opened up, was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna have like a part 2 where he eventually gets back, but he spends time with Gillian? And so when that red portal opened up, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But now I wonder if, probably not, but this will be utilized again.
Yeah.
There is a delayed portal. You know, I don't know, whatever. But this was done. This was a really good episode.
Yeah.
And as angry as I was at the start, by the time it ended, I was like, oh no, this is probably top 10 for me. I don't know. I probably higher, but I don't know yet. I loved this. There was something else. There was somebody who they mentioned who we never saw, and it was I guess the scientist who was supposed to come in the following day. And maybe it was just a throwaway line, but in this show, I'm always trying to pay attention to if someone else new is popping up. Like I was like, okay, is this remember the stoner guy? I was like, oh, is this going to be him? Or like I don't. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. And this also kind of felt like, and I don't know what year this came out, but also like a Pleasantville almost. Like some distorted version of Pleasantville, which I need to watch again.
It's been a minute. Because I want to say Pleasantville might have been like 98.
Yeah, it was later in the 90s.
Yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, all in all, this was a really good episode. And even that ending, now, again, I know I have my issues with the show, but I feel like if I land on an earth where the mailman is naked and it's snow outside, I ain't saying I'm going to take my clothes off, but I might get down to my tank top because I'm like, will I be in prison for wearing a sweater? Like,
exactly.
You gotta think, man.
Yeah.
But that was like a little throwaway world at the end of the episode, so it's like whatever. But I was like, man, take something off because y'all are in risk of going to jail every fucking episode.
Yep.
Going to jail because you're a man. Going to jail because you have a digital watch. Like going to jail because you have clothes on. I would love to see, or even write myself, some sort of episode, movie, short about the mental health of dealing. Because you can have
It's a lot.
PTSD from so many different things.
Yep.
Like,
You ain't seen nothing yet.
good Lord.
Yeah, like, and these are, I don't even want to say like these are the tame worlds, because
Oh,
some of the stuff that, yeah, some of the stuff that they've been dealing with has been like serious, right?
yeah.
But also some of it, a lot of it is played for laughs. But there are some episodes that they get serious. Like I talked about one
Mm-hmm.
when I did the panel,
Yeah.
and it's in a later season, but it's too close to the world that we live in right now. And
Yeah.
there were no jokes in that one. I can tell you that.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, but yeah, like you said, doing something like this, and especially with the amount of bodies they've seen dropped, like it's a lot. It's a lot. But I'm trying to think. Like I said, I'll give like, well, no, we do final thoughts after the favorite. So favorite, let's do favorite, least favorite character.
Favorite Gillian, hands down.
Okay.
Gillian for the win. Least favorite, I can't even say Michael because I thought he did good. I don't know if I truly have a least favorite. I can't even say the guy at the power plant because it's like
Yeah.
he was in there for like a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Least favorite. Honestly, I don't think I have one.
Okay.
I can't even say the professor because everything mattered.
Yeah.
Maybe the lightning. I don't know. Like I honestly I don't think I have a least favorite for this episode.
Okay.
Timer to my head, have to choose. I don't know. That girl with
Yeah.
the red hair, like if I have to pick one, but even her, I was like, she served her purpose. Maybe
Yeah.
her two friends who ain't say shit. Ugh. Brunettes. So yeah, Jillian is definitely my favorite.
Got you. The Becky Tanner.
Yeah.
Um, so I think my favorite is I'm just going to piggyback Gillian. I enjoy it. Yeah, because we'll get characters that are only going to be there for that one episode, and they can either not have an effect, like we always we kept joking about this, the scientist from the Fever world who was just evil for the sake of being evil, like no depth at all. But in this one, they gave her, I think, a very solid character arc, so she, yeah, definitely, she killed it. As far as least favorite, I can't even. I was going to say the taxi driver because they were just kind of redoing it. But now that I think about it, like they did another like a multiverse, a variant of that Russian guy, and he was just younger. So I actually liked him. So I don't know, Becky Tanner, Tannen, not Tanner. I make it sound like she's from Full House. Becky,
is she not? She might be.
She's one of the daughters. So those, like I said, piggybacking off of both. So what about moment? Favorite moment, least favorite moment?
I don't know. I want to say all scenes with Gillian and Quinn, but specifically I like the hotel scene where they're in that little diner part together. And he's like, "Hey man, you're not terrible." Because like to your point, it didn't feel like he was hitting on her. And that okay, let me stop that. I don't expect that to happen all the time, but I think if we do establish that there's a Wade Quinn thing going on, it would have been so easy to just be like, this is a pretty girl, he's a handsome guy. Like it never felt like that. They felt like a genuine friendship that had formed. And so I really liked hearing him pretty much pour into her because we talked about in the first season the after effects of them leaving these earths, the harm you've caused or whatever in the wake of you leaving. And I feel like she's for the better. For one, being more confident, she felt she asserted herself, stood up for herself to that bully and to her mom, and now her mom sees that motherfucker. I'm not crazy. These are so that specific scene to me was like the nexus point for like her. Not. I don't want to make it seem like he's the reason that she like Quinn is not the cause of her being better, but he's maybe like not a catalyst. What is like without him, I think it would have took longer for her to get to where she
Yeah.
is now, or maybe she never would have. So maybe
Yeah.
he is responsible. But that scene in particular, I was like, okay, because he's resigning to the fact that maybe if I might have to stay here,
Yeah.
and maybe I do, maybe I don't. And so I don't know. I just Gillian, you good in my book. That's my favorite scene. My favorite scene. And there's plenty others that I like the
Yeah.
break in and all that. So now let's be clear. This has some good scenes. Um, a least favorite scene would be see, I don't know, because everything in this episode mattered. You can't pull out one scene and the show functions the same. I don't feel like there was any fluff in here. There was no so least favorite, because I even was like, why the fuck did they have Mike handcuffed coming down the steps into the car but I was like, well, if he is a spy, a snitch, you want the public to see him.
Yeah.
So even that
It worked.
I don't damn least favorite. Let's just go with the naked world, because there's nothing that was I liked it all. So yeah,
Yeah.
naked world was the worst,
Okay.
I guess.
So for
Man.
for my favorite, I will go with I'm gonna go with the scene between Remy and the priest. Because I like the acting in that. I like when Remy said, "How did it get like this?" It didn't feel. It felt like he was like genuinely like wondering, rather than give me the info dump. Like it felt like a good conversation. And then I felt that the world building that they did with just that scene um, worked. Just worked exceptionally well, because we've had some episodes where the info dumps have been horrible.
Yep.
To the point of just being horrible. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that scene. And also I like the idea, even though a lot of churches don't necessarily subscribe to this, but there was, especially during like the civil rights era, where they were seen as a lot of churches. Like I said, it wasn't all of them, but that was the meeting places. The civil rights
Mm-hmm.
movement grew, as a at least especially down here in the South, with
Mm-hmm.
those were not way stations, but they were the places, the meeting places, and
Mm-hmm.
they helped out, with trying with the social change.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that Rembrandt be like, well, we could either go to a lawyer or a church,
Mm-hmm.
to see where the dissenters are,
Yeah.
in this world. I like that. So I in that scene, kind of just kind of brought all that together for me.
Okay.
As far as like least favorite, I don't have one. I'll just say it. I don't have one,
Hey.
because I did not think that I didn't think that I remember this episode, but not as much as I thought. There are some
Mm-hmm.
episodes where I watch it during the rewatch, and because my memory can be shot to hell sometimes,
Okay.
it doesn't stand out as much as others do. And this is one of those episodes, just being honest. But
Mm-hmm.
rewatching, I was like, this is a damn good episode. So I can't find any faults. So
Yeah. Same, man.
and I guess I don't know if like final thoughts.
Final thought. This is an episode done right.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel like cut out the first episode, start from episode 2, and let this be episode 2 chronologically. This was a
Mm-hmm.
damn good episode. And I only hope that going forward, I know there may be some missteps, but that we get as flushed out, well done side characters as
Yeah.
we got with Gillian. Like that, I'm so satisfied with this episode that if we never see her again, which we probably won't, I'll be fine. But if we
Yeah.
see her again, that will then be my second favorite episode, because the
She's
writing, everything just came together. This was
yeah.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I said, it was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I think that there are times where we so we got some lore and world building,
Yeah.
which was key. But like I think the lottery and End of Days,
Mm-hmm.
it just felt like kind of a tight, compact episode.
Yeah.
They utilize all those like 45 minutes like to the maximum ability, and it didn't feel like anything was wasted. And the acting was on point, the story was on point. I love the setting.
Yeah.
When they move away from Canada, and I know like they're at Canada, Vancouver is just a stand-in for an American city, but there was so much like personality and soul to filming on locations. And not saying when they move to California they don't film on location, but there was something about the city and that area that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So all that kind of wrapped up together. I enjoyed it. So so out of 10 transparent Quins, out of 10 transparent Quins, what are you rating this?
This is difficult because I want to go with 8 straight off the bat. And I might stick by that because I can't remember the last episode that I was like really into. I forget which one that was. I'd have to go back. But I do. They always say people don't remember what you said. They remember how it made you feel. I don't remember exactly which episode it was, but I remember, though I enjoyed it, I think I had a bit more critique for that episode than I have with this one.
Okay.
Plus, my critiques for this episode, once the episode progressed, I understood why those choices were made. So for this one, I'm gonna just throw it all on the table, say a solid 8. I kind of want to do 8.5, but I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna just say a solid 8.
Okay.
Transparent Queens for this episode.
Okay. So I can tell you, like the last because I got my chart here, and the sliders chart, the ratings. The last 9 that you gave was for luck of the draw, and then before that, the 2 highest rated ones that you gave were actually the 3 were The King is Back for 8.5, Eggheads at 8.
Damn.
And for the pilot, episode 1, you gave it a 9. Episode 2, part 2, you gave it an 8. And then together, you gave it like an 8.8.
Well, so if that's the case,
the only 9 that you gave was like luck of the draw.
Then I got to get this a 9 too. I have to. I got to change to a 9 because this was too. Everything came together well. So I'm going with 9 for this one as well.
Okay.
9, solid 9.
Yeah, I think so coming into this, I was at an 8, but I'm at a 9 now.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm at a 9. It's funny because on IMDb, it has a it's looks like it's okay. So on the episode listing, it says it's one of the highest rated episodes, top rated episodes. That's what they call it. But it's like a 7.7, and it is what it is. But yeah, I think I'm at a 9. So we're both at a 9.
Yes. That's I'm with that. Because I there's no way I know I enjoyed those other ones, but I know I felt good about this whole episode. So
yeah,
this is my top 5 apparently.
There you go. That's what from what I've counted, yeah. Like that's kind of where I'm at, and I think I'm the same. Because I think the only 9 that I gave for last season was luck of the draw. Yeah, that was the only 9. So this is like the second one. So
okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's what's up. Yeah, this was damn good. And honestly, a lot of this rests on Gillian, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
A lot of this now the core 4 were great. They did their thing, but yeah, a lot of this kind of rests on Gillian for me. Dope episode. Everybody played their part. Even the villains did a really good job.
Yeah.
They threw that Asian man in there who didn't say nothing. So, diversity quota met. Good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, good episode. I loved it. And I'm nervous that episode 4 will not live up to this one.
I mean, like I'm not saying nothing. Like I think I've been doing a good job of just maintaining neutrality. So,
yeah. Even if it ain't a 9, if I can at least give me a 7, because I don't know that. Because if it do now, if the next episode give me 9, that'd
be great.
I'm gonna be really let down when it drops, but I'm riding this out. So, oh man, the only real critique I have about this episode is that David
Mhm.
and his wife are dead now. That's the
Yeah.
only issue I have, is that they died, because that's my headcanon is they're dead. So,
They left in that van on
oh,
the next world. So
which is like, uh,
at least they got some
monogamy
wheels.
world.
Monogamy world.
Jesus. But yeah, that's all I got. You got something else you want to let these people know where to find you, or
Um, their website, as usual, Robert K. Jeffrey, Robert K. JEFFREY.com. What's cool is I recently got an update
mm-hmm.
for the website, so it looks new. I mean, but I know if people visit it for the first time, they'll be like, "What was it before?" But I'm excited for people to go and check it out. And as usual, on Instagram, Robert K. Jeffrey, and on Facebook, just do a search for author Robert Jeffrey the second. So.
Sound good, sound good. Yeah, you can find me at robertkjeffrey.com. No. Yeah, just look up Carefree Black Nerd.
Yep.
Instagram, YouTube, IG, TikTok, Blue Sky, X, Twitter. Just search Carefree Black Nerd. You see that
Mhm.
purple logo, you good to go. Of course, here on YouTube as well. For you podcast listeners, just search Carefree Black Nerd wherever you listen to your podcast. Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and there's some other ones out there, I'm sure. But check us here. This will be the home base. And I don't know, man. This has been fun, and
Yep.
I'm excited for the next episode. Listeners, I hope y'all are as well. Viewers, I hope you are too. And until next time, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky. And if you are, I don't know, a white girl that hears voices, like, kind of relax. Things will be good.
If your mom has a severe bob, you need to
Oh man, then yeah, you
tell her
really need
about
to
those
relax.
voices.
Yes, please. Just lean into it. Scare
Just lean into
motherfuckers. Like, make some money off of that. If you hear voices, get on TikTok or something. I don't know. But shit, good luck, y'all. Happy sliding.
Absolutely.